I'm reading this book by Scott Adams, Reframe Your Brain, and this book hit me. This book really hit me hard, because the interesting thing about this, he talks about, certainly at the start, in the initial chapters, he talks about reprogramming your brain. And because when you think about it, having all our brains being kind of programmed for failure, going through years and years and years being told to repeat what you've been told, regurgitate on the test, and never thought about meditation, never thought about imagination and focus, never thought about setting up businesses or paying taxes or all the things buying property and all the things you really should know. Never ever thought about it, how to set up a business, what different. I know there's some information in the business studies and skill now, but it's not useful. But Scott Adams talks about this, how to reprogram your brain. And yes, he talks about 3 elements: imagination, repetition, and emotion. Now he says that emotion is nice to have and not required, but I'm going to say emotion will supercharge it. Obviously it'll work without the emotion, but emotion supercharges it, puts the engine into your car. And the interesting about this is modern psychology, but it's just a re-remembering. Is that a word? It's a re-remembering of what the Gaelic people have known for 6,000 years. And the interesting thing about it is that in Gaelic mythology, there's a Gaelic name for all of these things. And overall it was called hijacks. But there's a Gaelic name for all of these things: the focus, the imagination and repetition, and the emotion. Those 3 things all had Gaelic names in Gaelic mythology. So in this book he's talking about, yes, there is a way to reprogram your brain. He calls it user interface for reality. I call it the cheat code to reality. But he says there's a way to reprogram your brain, and there's the 3 elements I've talked about. It's emotion. Sorry, let's start again. It's focus, imagination, and repetition. He calls it repetition, I'm going to call it imagination. And emotion, which supercharges the whole thing. But this is not a new concept. And I'm going to say the Gaelic people knew all about this, and they knew about energy. I watch my Chang sometimes, and he does all this, it's not about the tapping, but he does all this energy work. I do energy work with him almost every day, maybe 3 days a week. But he understands this energy. Now he's Chinese, American Chinese, but I'm going to say that I'm learning from him, which is interesting, but I'm going to say the Gaelic people knew all about this. They knew all about energy. And that's why we have standing stones along ley lines all around Ireland and also in England, in many places. It's about releasing the energy. And so the Gaelic people knew about this. But in modern psychology, including this book, it has been re-remembered again. Now there's a number of elements. Let's go through them one at a time. This first element is focus. This is really, really important, focus. In Gaelic mythology, this was called Lugh. Lugh, I say the sun god. He's not really a sun god as such, but he's a member of the Tuatha Danann, but he represents the sun, the brightness and the power of the sun. The interesting thing about the sun is bright and the sun is powerful. But the sun isn't force. It doesn't force. It shines. Plus it shines on everyone, whether you're a good or bad person. It shines on everyone. But focus is the sun. It's Lugh, the sun god. And it brightens everything up. It makes everything clear. We also have the term spring cleaning, because when the sun begins to come out, certainly in Ireland, the sun begins to come out around March and spring. And when the sun begins to come out, the stains show up, the dirt shows up. So we're also at a time now where a lot of things are coming out. The dirt is starting to show up too. So Lugh's focus in Gaelic mythology was Lugh. Lugh Fada, Lugh with the long arm. Now the second element he talks about here is, he calls it repetition. I'm going to call it repetition and emotion, because repetition and imagination. Because repetition without imagination is mechanical. It's just mechanical and it really doesn't do anything. Repetition with imagination and taking in the focus with focused imagination. So Lugh again is repetition with focused imagination is what talks to the unconscious mind, is what talks to your warrior spirits, is what talks to you deep down, the God inside you. Repetition, imagination, focused imagination, which is not mechanical, which is just this is why stories work, this is why stories excite, this is why movies work. This is why exciting deep conversations work. And this is the way affirmations work. The excitement, the depth of a deep conversation, and repetition and imagination. You've got to repeat over and over again. The unconscious is going to take in whatever it hears over and over and over again. And this is what creates action in the real world. Now you might take actual action, but the repetition will create action in the real world for you. So this is the second one. And in Gaelic mythology, repetition and imagination is the Dagda's cauldron. Dagda's cauldron never runs dry, it's always overflowing. This is represented by Dagda's cauldron. Your beautiful imagination and your repetition. You can go to the Dagda over and over and over again. His cauldron will never run dry. It's always overflowing. And the third element is really important, is emotion. Now, in this book and in other books, Scott Adams says that emotion is good, is nice, but not necessary. And there is some truth to that. But emotion supercharges the whole process. If you can feel this now, you are supercharging your process. And without emotion, the whole process is a car with no engine that you're pushing up a hill. But emotion supercharges your engine. Supercharges your engine. So you're flying up that hill. So emotion is very, very important. And this is a very important aspect of it. And in Gaelic mythology, emotion is connected to the goddess Ériu, goddess of Ireland. She is Ireland. Metaphorically, she's also the streams, the beautiful scenery, all the beautiful parts of Ireland. But emotion is connected with the goddess Ériu. So that's really, really important. And one thing we've got to be careful with emotion. We have to be a little bit careful, because emotion is also how propaganda works. So when they're putting propaganda in the news or on the radio or on the internet, they want to scare you. They want an emotional reaction. They want you scared. They want you angry. They want an emotional reaction. So we've got to be careful about emotion. We've got to make sure that we are feeding our emotion and it's not being fed by the Fomorians. So emotion we have to be careful about, that we're feeding our own emotion. We're creating our own emotion. And that's about intentional creation of emotion. That's about connecting with the goddess, Ériu. And in this, as you become more and more powerful, as you test this out, as you experiment and you become more and more powerful, you need ethical safeguards in place. You need ethical safeguards in place. And for me, the simplest ethical safeguard is just to go for a walk, to relax your body as you're going for a walk, to get into a meditative state and say to the goddess, hey, am I serving you? Is what I'm doing right? Let me know. Am I serving you or am I not? Because we've got to make sure, and if you take responsibility for what you're doing, if you take responsibility, there's no responsibility, authority or power without responsibility. That is tyranny. But authority or power with responsibility is caring, is the father aspect of having some power, but also using that power to protect and look after people. So it's important that you check in every now and again. As you grow, as you become more powerful, as you're starting to create things, it's important to check in. Am I serving you? goddess, am I serving? Am I doing the right thing? You will get an answer. If you get into the right state, you will get an answer. And the answer might be just some more direction. Go this way, do this. A feeling. It could be just a powerful, you might feel this powerful urge to go in a specific way. I really feel like I should do this, and it might not make sense in the moment. But if you feel it, start moving towards it. That's the ethical safeguard. It's the safeguarding rails that you have on the whole process. So this book and modern science, the most modern science, explains how. But Gaelic mythology, the Gaelic mythology explains why it's important and how to do it in a way that has safeguards in place. And this is important. This is an ongoing process. It's something that you should constantly be working on. It's the only thing that matters. And reprogramming your brain, it's not about hacks. It's about remembering who you are. Remembering the cheat code that you have to reality. Remember, you are in power. You are powerful. So it's important to remember this. And it's about your cheat code to reality. It's not about hacking stuff, but it's about remembering who you are and remembering your power. Ériu go bra, agus tá ar lá an seo.